What's going on, Car Motivator followers? This is Sean Kelley, the Car Biz Coach. I'm bringing you today's Winning Cultures webcast, and I have an absolutely amazing guest who I'll introduce in just a moment. But today's webcast is all about relationship development with your customers, and this is more for managers and salespeople on the showroom floor. We want you to take away some practical and tactical tips and tools and ideas that you can use to continue to build relationships with someone, not after the sale. In fact, I want everyone, we're going to stop saying after the sale, guys, because your customers are going to buy another car. So everything we're going to talk about is going to be in between sales. And Michelle McLain is on here. She is like the queen of follow-up. She's got an amazing Facebook group, which we're going to talk about too. We're going to talk about her company and what she does, but she is all about the follow-up. So let me make a brief, Michelle, go ahead and say hi to everyone and tell them a little bit about the auto industry.
Well, guys, we're at a peak and point right now in the auto industry where they've really changed, and they've melded and they've adapted. And we as a culture, we really need to start adapting as well. And as Sean said, I'm kind of the queen of follow-up. That's how people have learned to know me. And I think that it's really important in everything that we're doing right now that we're focusing more on building the relationship rather than that transactional mindset that we've been stuck in for so long. And so basically what I do, several years ago, I decided to look for an opportunity and look at what the industry as a whole was having the biggest issues with. And even myself, when I was a salesman, a sales manager, what have you, the biggest issue that we've always faced is there's just such a lack of post-sale follow-up with dealerships, with sales consultants. And what we're seeing is that that's directly relaying to what's happening with our repeat and referral business. And so kind of just wanted to talk today about the importance of how we can fix some of those issues in the industry.
That's awesome, Michelle. Well, we're excited to have you on here. And I think
I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, and the value that you're going to bring to the Car Motivators followers and, of course, your followers is going to be, hopefully we can both add a ton of value, and that's what this is all about. So tell us give a brief backdrop of your automotive history. You spent a lot of time on the showroom floor and did a bang-up job selling cars. Tell us about that.
So, ironically enough, like a lot of people, nobody woke up one day and said, hey, I'm going to sell cars for the rest of my life. That was definitely not the case with me or anything of the sort. I literally went in to go buy a car. I was 18 years old, and it was 10 till 9 at night. I was just popping around dealership lots and had no intention of talking to a salesperson. In fact, that's probably the quintessential customer that everybody hates, the jack. And but be it as it may, I ended up getting upped by a fantastic salesperson who to this day is one of my closest friends. And didn't buy a car from the dealership, but the manager came out to close me, and I basically closed him on why I was not buying a car. And for about 2 weeks, I was waitressing my way through college, and like many people, just trying to find who I was. I was only 18. And the sales manager said, hey, would you ever consider selling cars? And I went, sorry, I'm fresh out of tweed jackets with elbow pads. No, not interested in being in that industry. And there was nothing against anybody. My grandfather retired from Chrysler. He was an ace mechanic. My uncle retired from Chrysler. He was a service and parts director. So it kind of is in my background, and I've always had a passion for cars, but I just never envisioned myself being that person. And after about 2 weeks of them hounding me and saying, well, guess what? If you come and sell a minimum amount of cars for us for 6 months, we'll reimburse your tuition. I couldn't really say no. And lo and behold, I ended up stumbling into the role. I started with a Kia Cadillac Nissan dealership in 2001, and I kind of worked my way up through the ranks. Ultimately ended up going into a finance position. I was a sales manager. I've been a used car manager. I've been an AGM. I also spent 3 years working for a lender in subprime. So I have a specific and huge amount of outside prime background. I'm great with that part of the deal. And then I kind of worked my way up. I spent most of my time in my career with Subaru. I'm very passionate about the brand, as most people know. I eat, breathe, sleep Subaru even to this day. And I tell anyone that's looking for a car, definitely look at the Subaru brand. But what I started realizing in 2015, kind of towards the end of my tenure on the floor, I had been gifted with the opportunity, if you want to call it that, of being the person that followed up for everybody's customers. They had basically implemented a new position in the dealership. It was a customer relationship manager. And my only job was to make sure that we had perfect CSI. Obviously, it's such a huge and integral part of the dealership. It affects your stair step bonus money. It can affect your early allocation. I mean, every facet of the industry really surrounds around CSI. And I think that it's very flawed in the way they do it. But nevertheless, that was kind of what I was tasked with. And what I started realizing was that there wasn't time for sales consultants. I mean, I, as a sales consultant, I really had to watch my time management so that I could effectively follow up with my customers after the sale. But when you're doing it for an entire dealership, it's absolutely crazy.
Well, I think that that's such just for a dealership to implement someone whose only job is to make sure their customers get great follow-up is so important. And to your point, what you just said was it's so hard for a salesperson to follow up with everyone effectively. I was just coaching a guy named Chris in Ohio the other day, and his, one of his biggest challenges is he's been selling cars a long time. He's got a massive database of customers, and he's like, I want to give them the customer service they deserve. He goes, I stopped waiting on a lot of because otherwise I'm just not doing my job with follow-up. So what is so important? Now you left the showroom floor, and your experience on the showroom floor is amazing, by the way, guys. That's one of the reasons I wanted Michelle on the show, because she does have all that wisdom. You wouldn't know by looking at her, but because she, by the way, how old are you, Michelle, if you don't mind? I know that's like the forbidden question, but.
I'm 36. I keep telling everyone I'm 25, but yeah, I'm 36.
All right, fair enough. So, and I think I'm 38. I forgot, but yeah, bottom line.
Right.
Michelle. So Michelle's got this amazing experience. She was the queen of follow-up. She did follow-up for the entire, think about this for a second, every customer at the dealership she did follow-up for. She's learned a lot. And since then, now you've left the showroom floor to help dealers follow up even better than they're currently doing, right? And why is that so important to you?
Like I said, just kind of seeing the frustration that I personally, as a sales consultant, as a manager, being the person who's solely responsible at the end of the year for, even if there's a fractional percentage off of what national industry averages, of that pressure of just being able to get the bonus money and allocation and things like that. I started realizing that it just wasn't so important for the dealership, but even with the customer. I've said it before, and I talk a lot about Joe Verdi. I have a lot of respect for the man, but there's a 70-30 model in the car business. And 70% of your traffic is coming from the very hard to close customer that's either coming in off of one of your, internet ads, or they've been flipped from a BDC. And typically speaking, with the internet pricing and things like that, I mean, they're a one set price, but there's really no guarantee that that customer is even going to buy a car. And where your 30% comes from, it comes from, obviously your dealership employees, but it's also coming from repeat and referral customers, service retention, things like that. And so what I developed was a way to target that 30%, because consistently they're going to be the people that are going to send business to you. They're going to come back if they've already had a good experience. And most importantly, they're going to increase your gross profit. The average repeat and referral customer is at $862 higher gross profit than that typical walk-in off of the street customer. And so I started looking at the model and doing what I was doing with customer follow-up of how can we target that 30% and flip that model, so that 70% of our traffic is going to be coming from repeat and referral business and those higher gross, easy to close customers, versus just the Joe Schmo that comes in and tire kicks and, buys 20 to 25% of the time with even the best closer. And so what I started doing was kind of implementing my own personal practices, dating all the way back to when I started, sending out things like full color postcards, that say, like, from my family to yours, thank you for your business. Sending out, candy or cookie tins that had our dealership logo on them. Just little different things and trinkets that kind of set that experience apart. And what I find that most dealerships do is, if you're lucky, you'll get this fancy little manila card in the mail that says thank you with this gold lettering, and it's stamped on and it's impersonal, and literally it does nothing other than grace the bottom of a trash can. And so when I started doing this, and when I created Dealer Dash, the point was to put the personal back into post-sale follow-up. And so what I've done is I've created a complete lineup of really amazing products, and we follow the customer from the very first post-sale follow-up call all the way out for a minimum of 3 years. Some go further, just depending upon, obviously how long the customer is in there, but it's targeting them to send clients back to the dealership, for themselves to come back to the dealership. And they call our dealerships and call me all the time and go, wow, this is really awesome. And we send out custom 3D cards. We send out, like I said, we send out novelty gifts. We get involved early on if there's an issue, and we have a direct line to the general manager. So we're creating a conversation there. We're meeting with those general managers and saying, here's what we've learned over the past week of talking to your customers. These are where we see issues that can be fixed. And then we nip it in the bud before it becomes an issue. So I think the whole round idea of what we're doing is we're driving traffic back to the dealership. the dealership isn't suffering with horrible CSI, and we're working to create that bridge and that gap between the customer and the dealership where there's currently a disconnect.
Well, I think that is an amazing mission, and I think it is so important because at the end of the day, salespeople and managers, they can't be everywhere at once. So it's always good to have that helping hand. Now I want to touch on a couple of things you mentioned there. Now, first off, you're talking about the transactional purchasing, right? I think that that's one of the biggest challenges in our industry is that salespeople are always looking for that next sale, and they're not thinking about they're not maybe thinking long term. And I see it time and time again at every dealership I coach and work with. There's a really punchy noise. Do you hear that? Anyway, on my end maybe. But salespeople, maybe it's my mic. But salespeople are trying to look for that next sale, and as a result, and you can tell someone who's done that their whole career because they'll be on the firm floor 10, 15, 20 years, and still a 7 or 8 car guy or gal, right? So I think that what you're talking about doing is just building these amazing relationships by very personalized and unique follow-up, not after the sale, in between sales. And I think that's a mindset, right? I think that the mindset that the salespeople need to have is this customer isn't going to buy one car from me today. They're going to buy 30 cars from me over a lifetime, right? What are your thoughts on that mindset?
I completely agree with you. You know, we are in a very transactional mindset, and I don't think it's honestly at the fault necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that there are plenty of salespeople in the industry who become lazy and complacent and they get set in their ways. But I think a good majority of sales consultants and sales managers on up, they want to do the follow-up. They just simply don't have time because it starts from the top up, and you've got, the DP coming down to the GM, who's coming down to the sales managers, coming down to the sales consultants, saying, hey, you know what, get on the phone with that customer that didn't buy 3 weeks ago at the end of the month, and I need 5 more units on the board. And so we get stuck in that same transactional repetition of where, because our paychecks depend on it, we are chasing that next sale. And I don't think that we're in the mentality that we understand that if we're taking care of the customer after the sale, naturally that traffic is going to drive back. Naturally, they're going to send referral business, to our dealership, and we can profit and we can benefit from that. And I think the problem that we've ended up in is that, like I said, we have become complacent. Dealerships are spending an average of, $450, if not more, per copy, getting that customer to come in the door, whether they buy or not. But the reality is they're not even spending 10% of that money going back to the customer who's already purchased, who's already happy, who's already given a phenomenal survey. Right. And if you look at statistics, 90%, this is an actual statistic from NADA, 90% of your customers do not remember the sales consultant's name 1 year after buying a vehicle from them. And I think that's ridiculous. We need to keep the customer engaged. And whether it's sending a Christmas card or a birthday card or, a fancy thank you card, or sending out a postcard that says, hey, I'd like to give your 5 closest neighbors, a great deal. Or just making sure that even, the 3-month, 6-month, 10 or 12-month follow-up call, a service reminder, little tiny things are what are separating the people who are making it. And I'm going to throw Ali Rita up there. I mean, his customer service game is on point, but he went and he hired people, assistants, to kind of do that and to bridge that for him. And that's kind of where our service comes in. We want to work for your dealership. We want to be your partner. I don't want to be another vendor. I'm not. And I tell my guys all the time, don't you ever tell any dealership that you're selling a product, that you're a sales consultant. You're a relationship manager. You are solely there to be a part of their team and to fix that gap and to help them where they need help. And I think by doing that, we've really helped dealerships to see an increase not only in their repeat and referral business, but in their CSI scores, because we're following up, like I said, and then we're getting the customer while they're still hot. We let the customer know, hey, we're going to follow up with you. We build a profile of that customer. We find out their likes, we find out their dislikes. We find out what they liked about the dealership and didn't like. And then we use that information and we use that to target them and to send them trinkets and thank you items that are at their level, rather than blanketing them under one generalized follow-up.
Now thank you, Michelle. That's absolutely, I love what Dealer Dash is doing, and that's one of the reasons why Car Motivators wanted to, team up with you here, because everyone that Car Motivators chooses to partner with are simply someone who adds a ton of value to the relationships between the dealer personnel and the buyers on the showroom floor. So Dealer Dash is, and these are techniques that anyone can use. Would you agree? Like at the end of the day,
100%.
Like let's say my dealership won't get Dealer Dash, right? I can still, as a salesperson, come up with some scalable ideas. And let's share some of those practical and tactical. One I'll just throw out there right away. And I just pulled this out of my George Costanza wallet. But this here, but this is a gift card from Starbucks, or for Starbucks. And I don't even know how much is on it, but this has sentimental value to me. Why? Because I got this in the mail after speaking at Rockstar Auto Conference from Chris Spear. They took time out. They wrote me a handwritten thank you card saying they were working with me.
And it was personalized to you.
That's right. It was personalized. And back in the day, getting email used to be the cool thing. Well, now because everyone's emailing, getting snail mail is now the cool thing, right? So what are some other ways that salespeople can personalize their follow-up, make it unique, just be different and be memorable and build that relationship, just like you see on my TV in the background, right? What are your thoughts on that? What are some ideas for these guys?
Now, one thing that I think is really important, and like I mentioned earlier on, typically what happens if the customer ever gets a thank you card, and I think that it's integral that I would be sending out a thank you card to that customer the minute that they leave the dealership. Because if you don't do that and remind yourself to do that, you're going to get lost by the wayside and on to the next customer, and you're going to forget. So definitely making sure that your time management is on point and that you remember. A lot of times we tell too the salespeople, as soon as that customer leaves the dealership, call that customer, leave a voicemail. Even if they don't pick up, call their home number and just say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this is so-and-so from ABC Dealer. I just wanted to call and just once again, thank you so much for your business. Getting that customer before they even get home and making sure that customer knows that you're still, actively thinking about them.
Yes.
But then going on,
I want to touch I'm sorry to interrupt. I wanted to touch on what you just said. Guys, if you're only calling them like crazy before they buy from you, right? You're setting the expectation, right? This is my follow-up. And then when you sell them, you just cut them off and you stop following up. You're proving to them that you sell transactions. You don't care about the relationship. And they won't come back, right? So I love that. Call them right after they leave. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's no different than the internet lead, and I spent several years, working with BDCs and internet managers. And one thing to get that customer while they're in front of the computer, you can't wait 5 minutes to follow up because the dealership that responds the first is typically going to be the dealership that gets the business. I mean, we all buy the cars for the same price. So when you're in a competitive market, it's about standing out and making a difference. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is just something as stupid as making your own customized follow-up card, or making your own custom business card. Having a full color postcard that goes out with pictures of you and your kids or your family or what's important to you, and literally saying, hey, from my family to yours, thank you for your business. And when I was just a sales consultant, I was doing that. I would go to like Vista Printers, Zazzle, or one of the websites, and I'd have these nice little, front and back postcards made up, and I would handwrite a thank you note on the back of them. And I can't tell you how many customers would call me up and go, oh my gosh, that's such an awesome postcard, or oh, your kids are so adorable. And they would put it on their refrigerator, or they would stick it, on their desk at work, and it would create conversations, and people would go, oh, who's that? Oh, well, that was my car sales consultant. She was amazing. Go see her if you're looking to buy a car. And it literally cost me like, I think 35 cents a postcard or something just nominal like that. I mean, it was so trivial. But just doing something to stand out. Everybody's doing the same thing. And I think when we start reaching the customer at a personal level, that's where you're going to start finding the difference.
I love that. I'm going to throw a couple more out there too. So one of the things that I highly recommend is leveraging, so obviously we talk about social media. It's no different than we're doing a video here. But if you have a Facebook group where you put your sold customers in, you can make, imagine over the years you get 2,000 or 3,000 people in there. You make one live video and half of them see it. That's like sending a video to every single customer, half your database, which would take days, right? If not weeks. So if you think there's the tools are out there, and they're free, and people can learn them. MailChimp. Guys, I do a newsletter I send out to about 4,000 people that are followers of Car Motivators. I send that out monthly. I use MailChimp. It's totally free. It takes me about 45 minutes to type up my newsletter, and everyone sees it at once. I mean, have you thought, what about having your very own newsletter for your dealership and what you do, right?
Oh, 100%. I use Active Campaign, and I'm not trying to plug anybody. I've liked their interface, and I think too with sales consultants who may not be as tech savvy, it's really, really user friendly. It's all plug and play. I haven't done a whole lot with MailChimp, but like you said, I mean, there are so inexpensive ways that you can differentiate yourself, and the newsletter is a great idea. Maybe sending that out to your customers and featuring your customers that bought a car last month and saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, these are the people that bought from me. Why don't you make yourself the next person or something to that extent? but just doing something that's unique. That's the most important thing. And I think that once you decide that you're going to be different, different results.
That's awesome. I completely agree, Michelle. And we'll start wrapping up here shortly. I want to, let me ask, what are some of the biggest mistakes? Okay, other than just not following up in between sales, right? What are some of the mistakes that employees, maybe salespeople or managers, maybe do make when they're following up?
Well, the biggest thing that I see, number one, is not having a sales manager that gets involved at the right time. We obviously are not going to make every customer happy. I mean, it's statistically impossible. And even if you do think that you do everything right, there are still those customers.
Okay, guys, we seem to be having a little technical difficulty on Michelle's side. While we wait for her to load back in here, I'm going to share a video with you guys. Check this out. So this is myself and one of my coaches. We were driving home from literally from one of our projects in Kentucky, and the in-house trainer that we were training to sell, or to be a coach and helping him develop his training skills, was his birthday the next day. So we sent him this video. Check this out. Let's see if you can hear it here.
Happy birthday.
It's kind of dark, so you can't see it there, but
Happy birthday.
so the reason really bad singing, I apologize in advance, but the reason I share that with you guys is because that, my friends, is extremely memorable. It's unique. You can't forget it, right? He'll never forget that birthday video. His response to me was something along the lines of, I've had people that have known me my whole life and didn't take time out to send me something like that. So, I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I'm partnered with like DriveCentric, for instance, DriveCentric CRM, with CoVideo. CoVideo is an amazing tool, and salespeople, you can buy it individually. I'm going to tell you right now, if you think it's not worth $40 a month of your investment to leverage CoVideo, you are crazy, because you send videos like that on people's birthday, they're always going to remember you. They're going to come back and get their next car. You're increasing the odds significantly anyway. And you're building those relationships, which is what this is all about. Guys, what I want for you is that when you are selling cars 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, that you have a massive following of repeat and referral business. They're so much more fun to sell than your typical internet customer. All right, it's that simple. And now, since Michelle we seem to have lost our connection, but I want to make sure I share her information with you. Michelle is with, it's Dealer Dash is the name of her company. Her website is mydealerdash.com. That is mydealerdash.com. You can check her out there. And I want to give some other shout outs to some other companies that in the auto space that Car Motivators has partnered with to help make amazing relationships between you and your customers. Guys, there is, you've got to check out Easy Referral Network. All right, I'm going to tell you right now, it's super affordable. It's an app your customers get on their phone that you give to your customer, and they can refer you through their app, and it comes right into your CRM as a lead to the salesperson. Easy Referral Network, awesome tool. You got Next Sale. It's a branding and marketing and reputation tool that salespeople can use. There's also Trust My Work, trustmywork.com by David Foy. That's a website where salespeople can have their own online 5-star reviews. It's amazing. You've also got, obviously, the Next Sale app for marketing and branding. I talked about that. You've got Michelle with Dealer Dash for your long-term follow-up. There are so many amazing tools out there that you can use, but you guys, you've got to use them. We cannot continue to sell transactionally. It is not a scalable business model. And we've got to take these customers that used to be best price internet shoppers, and we've got to turn them into loyal followers of ours that will always come back and buy all their cars from us. So the relationship from now until they buy their next car from you is what we want to focus on with this webcast. So again, guys, I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Hopefully you've got some practical and tactical tips and things you can use to implement with your current customer database that will help you build those relationships, stay in touch with your customers, and add value. And that's what it's about. It's not about trying to sell them again. They will come buy again if you add value to that relationship. And that's what this between sale follow-up that Michelle and I were talking about is all about. So check out carmotivators.com. I've got articles on this kind of stuff that me and my coaches write. Check out mydealerdash.com to learn more about Michelle and her company. And Michelle.
I do not know what happened. I think my phone temperature thing got too hot.
Oh, your phone overheated? Yeah, I was in the sun.
My front porch, it's so beautiful outside, and I'm like, oh no, my temperature's there. So anyway, so back to what.
This is no, you're all right. So I just got done kind of telling people where they can see you on your website, but why don't
Oh,
you
awesome.
tell everyone where they can find you, Michelle, and that way they can reach out to you if they have any questions or they want to get some more tips on
Sure. So, I'm all about building relationships and helping your dealership, truly, like, in any way that we possibly can. So if you're interested in getting some more information, it's absolutely free of charge. You can reach out to me on the website at www.mydealer-.com. You can send me an email at info@mydealer-.com. And I'm kind of the queen of social. Everybody knows that. So you can reach me on social too. And, let's just have a conversation. Let's talk about the issues you're facing and how I can help. And if it's a good fit, then we'll go from there and we'll work together to make sure that things work really well for your dealership.
Hey, Michelle, one last thing too. Tell them about your Facebook group.
So I actually have a group that's dedicated specifically to women in the automotive industry, and we have a power tribe. I also founded I Can Sell Cars and Stilettos, which is a blog. I founded that in 2013, just as kind of a way of bringing together the best of the best women in the industry. And so any woman that's in the industry and is interested in connecting and networking with some of the best, we have people in it like Lisa Copeland, who I absolutely adore, Carrie Reese, some of just the best people in the industry to learn from. And if you are interested, you can send me a private message and I'll be happy to add you to that group too and get you started with some of the best women in the industry.
That's awesome. Michelle, thank you again. Sorry you cut out there, but
Well, I'm so sorry I cut out on you.
no, I'm sorry. I just tap danced on stage and kept everyone occupied while we were waiting.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes we just have to roll with the punches. Facebook Lives this week have just been a nightmare for most people. So
Yeah.
I just roll with it, right? That's all we can do.
Yeah, no doubt. I was on the Frank J. Lopes live video, and it was so funny because it cut half my face off, but it was still a good video.
I know, my very first live show, and halfway through the cast, the video cut out, and it was just audio. And Lisa's had issues. I think it's just been the curse, but like I said, we roll with it, right? That's what we do best.
Well, thank you again, Michelle. You've been great. I think our viewers got a bunch of great tips. So again, guys, check out carmotivators.com. As you know, we've got our blog on there. I also have our newsletter. We've got our Facebook group, Coaching the Car Business. Also join Michelle's group as well. I Sell Cars and Stilettos. You've also got her website, mydealer-.com. Guys, thank you again. Have a great end of your month and get next month rocking and rolling. This is Sean Kelley, the Car Biz Coach, out.